I will just do a very short introduction that we always do in the cafe sessions. So the ISME Online Cafe is an initiative of the ISME Advocacy Committee, and each meeting is hosted by a different member of one of the committees and special interest groups. And today's session is hosted by the MISCTEC Commission, and my co-hosts are Professor Lily Chen-Haftig, our chair, and Marcy Malone-Ambrose. And the main purpose of our meetings is to provide a platform for music education practitioners and students across the globe to share, discuss, and reflect on their experiences and narratives while learning from and with one another in an atmosphere of safety, trust, and mutual support. By participating in this meeting, we all agree to and take responsibility for the following. We aim at creating a welcoming and inclusive environment. We accept and honor diverse perspectives. We cultivate a sense of belonging and trust. We cultivate open and honest communication. We foster the health and well-being of all participants. We listen, we respond and disagree respectfully and avoid judgmental statements towards others. So let's talk and get inspired. And one more reminder, after the session has ended, please remember to fill out the short participant survey that you should receive as a link. The survey is it is anonymous, but it's very important for us to make this virtual meeting space even better and to keep it serve our community as well as possible. So I will now hand over the microphone to our virtual microphone to Professor Lily Chen-Haftig to share some news on behalf of the MISCTEC Commission. Lily?
Hi, thank you so much, Adam, for the great opening and tell us more about the ISME Cafe. And I'm so happy to see all of you here who is joining us. So this is MISCTEC Cafe, which is actually our first one, and we are no, actually second, because we have the other region who has done it a few hours ago. Anyway, thank you so much for coming. And so we want to start with introducing you to our MISCTEC Commission and inviting you to our seminar, which is going to take place this summer. This summer means in a few months, so it's quite soon. And the call for proposal is going to be due on November the 1st. So please try to submit a proposal to present and to share your work at our MISCTEC seminar. And so first of all, I'd like to show you a wonderful, very short 1-minute clip prepared by our commissioner, one of our commissioner, Michael. And let me just share my screen, okay? All right, you see my screen has many things. So let me go back to my video. It's here, the video. Oh, video is here. Yes, okay. So let's if you see that, especially the last few screen, we have some memories, happy memories of our past MISCTEC gathering. And I know some of you are nodding your head to remember that every time when we meet in our MISCTEC seminar, it was such a great family reunion, may I call it, and also professionally very interesting, sharing our wonderful work. And so I hope that you will join us, and I can't wait to go back in person in the next summer, and this will be in the beautiful town of Tallinn. And actually in the summer, back in August, I went there and to check it out, and I can assure you we have great hosts there, and you will all be very welcome. And it's a beautiful town, and Tallinn, and it's not far from Helsinki. Is 2 hours ferry ride, and so after the seminar we can get together on a ferry and go over to Helsinki to attend the World Conference. So I have a great summer plan for you. So please make a plan to come and join us. And one more thing I want to share. So I have to share screen again, and just to be okay. So I want to make sure everybody aware of this. This our ISME MISCTEC Facebook page. So if you are not looking at it yet, please make sure that you got in there from time to time and to see our most latest update. And we post a lot of information about upcoming events like the cafe. Oh, I don't know why I can scroll down. Yes, I can scroll down. Like this video is here actually in our page, and information about cafe. And so please, I don't like this page or follow this page. And then another page that I want you to be aware is the conference call for paper is all posted in our ismecommission.org, this website. Okay, and so when you submit, you just have to make sure you check all the procedures, and we have the full paper, possibility of submitting a full paper presentation, workshops, or posters. And if it's a full papers, and this will be published in our proceedings. And then we have workshop, poster, and also for those who need help, if they don't have financial support to travel, so they can apply for travel award applications. And so please consider coming and join us. Okay, I think that's what I have to say about our seminars and the MISCTEC. Is there anything else I'm missing? The other commissioners. So we have 6 commissioners, okay? Adam is here, and Marcy is here, and the other 3, Wendy from Australia, and Michael from Hong Kong, and Wendy, Michael, and Elizabeth from Greece. And so they were on the other session of the cafe. So now we have the 3 of us, but the 6 of us together, we are the MISCTEC Commission, and we are here to serve you and to try to gather us in a great seminar which is coming up, and also to connect with you as our professional community. So we are very happy to be here. Okay, and so next, next is Adam. We are going to find our past chair and past commissioner, right?
We can. Oh, sorry.
Please go on, Marcy. No, please go on.
Yes. What I was going to say is one of the wonderful things about MISCTEC, for me anyway, is just making the connections with so many wonderful members. The first MISCTEC conference I got to go to was in Prague, and I was inspired by so many music educators and so many researchers, and propelled me to want to do more research, and it inspired me to be a better music educator. So we wanted to recognize those past commissioners and past chairs to say thank you for continuing to inspire future music educators and continuing in the profession. I see two right now. I see Smaro and I see Jody. Are there any other past commissioners that are with us today?
Yeah,
I know
maybe
that
you can ask Jody to say something.
I was going to, yes. Jody and Smaro, if you wouldn't mind saying something about, what MISCTEC means to you and why you continue to be a part of this commission.
Sister Smaro, do you want to go ahead?
You start.
Well, thank you, first of all, for the recognition. Commissioners, in a way, do a lot of work, but it's the people that attend the commissions that make a commission seminar. And I'm looking at Yarka, who helped to plan Prague. It is a family. And what I appreciate the most is the safe space where people gather to try out new pedagogical research ideas. And there's a great deal of support, and not just support in the conference and commission itself, but beyond that. And that is sustaining to me as a professional. So thank you all for being part of MISCTEC over the years. Over to you, dear Smaro.
Thank you. Thank you, Lily and Adam, for inviting us. And thank you, Marcy, for the acknowledgement. Well, for me, MISCTEC is very much part of my life as an academic, as a music teacher, as a music educator, as a member of ISME. I consider MISCTEC to be my family. I've attended my first MISCTEC commission in 1996 in Finland, Joensuu. And since then, I think I've missed maybe a couple over the last, non-mentionable number of years. So that's how much I love being part of MISCTEC. And I have been a commissioner and chair, and I have also organized MISCTEC in Komotini, my hometown, when ISME was in Greece. Yes, I think it's a wonderful place for you to be. It's a wonderful place to try to present new ideas, best practices. It's a wonderful group of people that welcome new ideas and are open for discussion. And the discussions are what I value most. The fact that you're there for the whole period of the week, from morning until night, and you have coffees and lunches and dinners, and you continue the discussions that you start when you present the papers, and you have the chance to exchange ideas with people from around the world. And it's a much smaller event than ISME. It's more focused. I think it's the commission to be. So I'm looking forward to Tallinn. I hope I will be able to attend. I'm still working on my funding, but yes, I hope to be there. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Smaro, and thank you, Jody. Those were amazing stories. I love the key word. MISCTEC is a family, and it is wonderful to see many of you in our MISCTEC family here today, and we are looking forward to discussing our our topic. And Adam, would you like to introduce that topic?
Yes, thank you so much, Marcy. Before we continue, I wanted to share an announcement with you all that I think is quite exciting. For the World Conference, we know that ISME is planning to offer a one-day ticket for music teachers in schools at a discount rate. And I was asked to share this news, and more details will be soon available on the ISME website. So please follow. And regarding our topic, AI in music education, AI and the future for music in schools and teacher education, I would like to just do a very brief presentation, because I am by no means an expert in this field, but I think that AI in education is such a huge field, really, that it would be nice to have a frame for the discussion so that we agree on where we are going in our discussions. So I will start my PowerPoint and share the screen with you now, and I hope it will work well. Okay. Share screen. That's this one. Okay, so I hope that you can all see my slides. And AI and the future of music in schools and teacher education is our topic today. And just very briefly, AI has now become this kind of a trendy term, one of the buzzwords, I think, that we hear used in many different contexts. It has also become a product that has reached a huge number of users, much faster than probably any other product in the digital world has ever done before. But what do we actually mean when we say AI? So some of the definitions, they date back to, the history of AI goes back to actually the 1950s. And one of the definitions is that artificial intelligence is the part of computer science concerned with designing intelligent computer systems. And the official beginning, if I am not wrong about this, is usually the date of recognition within the academic community is 1956. And I'm trying to move to the next slide. Yes, I succeeded. So with regard to music, connecting artificial intelligence with music began around the 1960s, and it relates to research that focuses on music as a cognitive process or as a set of activities modeled with the aid of a computer program. The first published paper on algorithmic music composition using the Ural-1 computer was published in 1960. And then very significant was also the Ray Kurzweil computer that was programmed to compose music. So that was also the mid-20th century. And then AI in music is usually being discussed with regard to those three major fields. So music composition, music performance, and music education. And with regard to composition, since the origination of the first programs capable of composing music, no artificial intelligence system that composes music has become a part of a broader community of music. But now in the 21st century, this is starting to change. This is a quote from an article by Zulich from 2019. And the development of music produced by AI is increasing significantly. So now we even have apps that can compose music that is related to our current mood or our activity. Then the other very prominent field is performance. And the interest in having computers perform musical tasks is also growing. And I thought of sharing one particular example with you, which I found quite interesting and worth seeing. I hope that the video will work. So this is an AI system programmed to do the piano part of Gershwin as he would do it himself, based on a large number of recordings of George Gershwin. So this is the Dallas Symphony, and you can see that there is no pianist at the grand piano. It's just a computer and a mechanism that is actually playing the parts based on an AI engine that learned from actual recordings of George Gershwin. And then another example is an AI software developed by Yamaha that is supposed to be capable of playing in the style of Glenn Gould and provide real-time performances. So AI in the field of musical performance is developing quite rapidly. And then in the field of education, AI has entered almost all spheres of human learning. The possibilities of its application continue to increase. And I wanted to share with you the 3 definitions proposed by Holland in 2000. So one is a very broad one, that AI in education is any application of AI techniques or methodologies to educational systems. Then the other one is a little more specific. So any computer-based learning system which has some degree of autonomous decision-making with respect to some aspect of its interaction with users. And then the third one refers to AI applied to the discovery of insights and methods for education. So it's a bit of a different approach. And sorry, for some reason I'm struggling with something much more simple than AI on my computer, which is turning my slides. Zulich concludes that artificial intelligence has become an inevitable factor in our future. And if we are still wondering whether artificial intelligence can create art that emulates human emotion, the answer is yes. If we have not convinced ourselves yet, surely the future of this technology will provide to us that this is possible. And within this frame and having seen at least this very, very brief introduction to how AI is being discussed, we would like to propose the questions for today's discussions in breakout rooms. Of course, those are just suggestions, so please feel free, everyone, to include some other questions or to modify them. But we wanted to start off with those 3 questions. So the first question is, what has your experience with AI in music education looked like so far? Are there any AI tools or applications that you have become proficient within the music education field. Could you share how these tools have enhanced your teaching or learning experience? The second question, what are your anticipations or predictions regarding the future role of AI in music education? So how do you see it evolving in the next 5 to 10 years? What specific needs could it help address? The third question, what are the biggest challenges related to AI in music education that you see based on your own practice and experience? Have you identified any specific issues or drawbacks related to the use of AI which are already impacting your field or practice? How are you addressing these problems? And actually, we have a fourth question that I forgot somehow, but it's a pretty important one, and it's a question about the ethical considerations. What ethical considerations should educators keep in mind when integrating AI into music education? So this much from me, and I will paste the questions in the chat so that you can also see them after the slideshow is not available anymore. And I think we can go into discussions from here. Or is there anything else, Lily and Marcy, that you'd like to add at this point?
No, I'm looking forward to the discussion.
So if everyone is back, shall we have a little summary of what we have discussed in the groups and maybe have a bit of a discussion all together? Is there anyone who'd like to start on behalf of their group and share what the main thoughts were with regard to the questions we had?
Yes, our group had a great discussion, and Sammy has also shared her wonderful research. So maybe, Sammy, we can start. We are a strong group.
Great, Lily. So please start.
Oh, Sammy, can you turn on your microphone first? We cannot hear you. Yes, Sammy is our representative.
Great.
My name is Sammy. I'm from United States, and my group had such a wonderful discussion because we represented diverse countries, regions, and diverse ages and years of experiences. Also in our group, there were school music teachers and higher music educators, and they all share their experience and impressions about this new wave. What I heard from our group's discussion is when MIDI or TV or internet first came out, people were freaked out and horrified, and some of them were pessimistic about that, recognizing that the end of the world or end of the musicianship. However, later people realized that that's new possibility of cultivating new type of pedagogies and new possibility of being inclusive to meet the students' needs from diverse backgrounds, level of difficulties, and diverse cultural dispositions. And we also share some of the possibilities that the music teachers and higher music educators use in their classroom. We discussed notation-based software like MuseScore or DAWs, digital audio workstations, and iPad instruments. And what was the other? And smartphones and the search engines during the music class. And then what we cultivated is that, like, one participant from Portugal said, early age students, they got lots of benefits of understanding and searching about the musical background using the internet search engines. So that was such a great addition to music class, and they were agentic to find those informations. So it's like teachers' didactic method is this song is from like Iceland, or students are actually searching and saying that this music is from Iceland. That those like synergetic moments was different. And also I and Jody shared about like some of the use of the iPad instruments and the notation-based app. There was a student who actually audiated all the sounds in their brain. However, even their parents did not know this. But the new music teacher noticed the student is audiating and provided the notation-based workstation. And suddenly, students started composing music. And his third piece was awarded as memorable mention in ISME composition competition. That means in this case, notation-based app became such a great aid for students who already listened to all the music and became great tool to compose through the aid of those playback function. And we also shared using iPad instruments can create addition to teacher education courses. Lily shared that. However, at the same time, there were some discussions about two opposite views to this new wave. Some felt that this is such a great opportunity, and the other felt that still they were reluctant to actively accept those new wave. Some of the issues were agency. Students who compose music based on the notation app, they believe that it is less agent. They said this sounds good. However, I don't think this music is solely from me. So they sensed about what AI technique added on their sounds, and often that became a little bit impediment to be truly confident about their musical outcome. Another story that we could share is that low motivated students, they got great benefit playing on iPad instrument because it's not super difficult. However, students who are highly motivated, they feel like acoustic instrument is much more musical and much more tangible experience compared to just touching simple iPad screen. So our final thought was, for teachers, we should be really mindful and thoughtful and perceptive to understand and read each student's needs to bring those artificial way of strategy to enhance the students' learning.
Thank you, Sammy. Sammy has shared her publications with us. Can you see it in the main room chat, or we have to repost it? Adam, can you see the link to Sammy's publication in your chat?
No,
I can see it now. Yes.
I just have the first one. This one is about the different motivation level. Would help students figure out different preference of those two types of instruments. And I shared about students' agency. Actually, that is, I co-authored this with Hesu Yu. She's in this room. So I shared mainly those two studies regarding.
Yeah, I think it's just very helpful and have this reference to take a look and think about. But thank you so much for sharing this. Yes. Yes. Yes.
Thank you for sharing.
Thank you, Sammy, and our group members. Very nice. So shall we move on to another group? Thank you.
Yes. Do we have a volunteer from one of the next groups, or we can? Marcy, I think your mic is muted.
There. Now I'm unmuted.
Yes.
That was a little flashback to COVID I had there when you said.
Yeah. Yes. Let's not go back to this.
No. So we had so many wonderful contributions to the conversation in our group, and we started off our conversation with Ran and Lee, and Ran is a PhD student at Western. Is that right, Ran? Did I get that correct? Okay, maybe she doesn't hear me. That's okay. She believed that, because music is innately human, that music will will need those human emotions and will need different things to be considered truly valued by other humans. Whereas Lee said, a lot of AI programs will take the technique of a musician and can, you know, create that sense of emotion from their musical technique. And then Frank let us know that AI without a source will not always be accurate. So and he encourages his students to use different types of AI, and then they discuss it together. So involving students with the different options in AI can help to you know, increase their learning and your own learning as a teacher. One thing that I found particularly interesting was a story that was told where Frank said, well, I used ChatGPT to put a comment in there and asked it, can you make this friendlier? And so I think that that was an interesting thing. You know, what would AI say, you know, from all these different data sources, you know, thinking of the positive things that it could do. And then but still, you know, AI in this situation still needs input from other humans. It still needs, you know, but every time you use one of these instruments or softwares, they will input what you are asking it, and then use that as a data resource as well. And so it will just always continue to grow and develop. There's never really a concrete thing. And as I shared with my group, I recorded everybody's comments on my very high-tech AI notepad. And no, but you know, we had a very interesting conversation about you know, will the human aspect be taken from different music experiences with AI? And the answer our group had was, at this time, we don't believe that, because there still needs to be human interaction for AI to create. Two different programs that Ren shared with us was Orb Composition and AIVA. Those are two types of software that I'm looking forward to exploring. I'm going to retype them in the chat right now, just so everybody else can have the opportunity to see that too. There we go. Thank you.
Thank you, Marcy. Okay. Who's left? I guess our group. Or would anyone else like to share? Okay, I'll just try. I'll do my best to maybe summarize the discussion that we had, but please, if any one of you who were in the group with me would like to interrupt or share, then please do. So we had, I think our discussion started from talking about our past experience with kind of looking and witnessing projects related to AI that have looked really interesting as experiments, but then in many or in some cases at least, they didn't turn out to be sustainable as technology. So they are not compatible with the devices we have now, and they are not really in use anymore. So we were talking about a concern actually that is related to that, meaning how do we make technology sustainable in education, so that this effort that we take with regard to whether it's buying hardware or software and then learning it and then designing this environment so that it works smoothly, so that it actually stays and that it's flexible enough to develop and to evolve with our needs and with the technology. And we talked about examples of Smaro mentioned a mirror project that was happening around 2010 with Sony, and then we also had in Iceland, we had Biophilia, which was not AI, but it was a very, I think, interesting experiment with regard to digital tools and education. But in both cases, the problem was that a few years have passed and the projects are not really compatible with the current technological environment. And then we talked about that maybe we would actually need a completely new platform for the educational software, meaning like a whole digital environment that would be free from some of the major concerns with regard to privacy, because it seems that many both teachers and institutions struggle with this problem that when we want to protect privacy and when we want to be very clear about what is on the device and who has access to what, then we make the process very complicated. And then, every time the teacher wants an update, they have to ask the relevant office, and then it takes weeks or months, and then it becomes very difficult for a teacher to actually work in this environment. But then, of course, if we use computers that are not protected or somehow limited with regard to what the kids can access, then we don't have control over the content and over the quality. So maybe we would just need to, maybe education needs a whole new platform specifically for educational purposes, and a platform that would meet the standards that we require to be present in education. And then we talked about also how AI is actually new in the sense of the concerns that people have. And I think this also was a topic with shared by our first group today, that in a way, every time we have new technology or a breakthrough in technology, there are concerns, but there are also, of course, we can look at it as an opening as a new chance to provide good quality education. But I think, what else? There was one more thing that I was supposed to share. Oh yes, this was a topic I think mentioned by Haning, that one of the concerns related to AI is the motivations of the students. That AI is a tool that seems to be very easy to, if you want to have certain effects, and you just, as was mentioned before, you just type the word, sad or sad music or coffee house music, and you have a whole product that sounds in a way that's quite impressive. So some students are asking, why would I bother to learn all the skills that I need if I can just have it like this? So this might be a concern. And what else? Have I missed something important? Yes, I think more or less those were the main issues that we discussed in our group. Okay, is there anyone else who would like to share something that has not been shared yet from the group discussions?
I have a question. Actually, this is not about the group discussion. It was eye-opening for me to see the 3 definitions that you shared about what it means to use AI in the educational setting. And according to the slide, the very first one is whatever applications that is structured based on the machine learning strategy. That means that is not like ChatGPT type of search engine, like phone instruments or iPad instruments, all the like software notations. And the second one was, what was the second one? Hold on, I took a picture. So
I can share. Yes, please, if you have the picture, please continue.
Oh, please
Oh,
share.
yeah, let me share the picture. Oh, but I cannot because this is too long.
Okay, so I can share the slides with you again right now if you want to have a look at it. So those are the 3 definitions provided by Holland. Well, the reason why they were in my slides was that they are still being referred to quite often, but they are, of course, more than 20 years old. So there was no ChatGPT at the time, and we already know, some of the things from our practice that were, I'm trying to share my screen, that at that time were just theory, but those were the 3 definitions that I mentioned with regard to education, right?
Right.
Not AI in general. Mm-hmm.
I think it would be effective for us to define what AI is in this 2023 before starting this discussion. Otherwise, based on these 3 type of definitions, there's no clear division between the traditional approaches using technology and the AI. Like the recent AI is quite eye-opening because although it is not perfect, yesterday I typed in, hey, please provide a 4th grade lesson plan using the bucket drums, and it just makes it. So this animal is a little bit different. So I would like to see how we define AI in this 2023, in this era.
Mm-hmm. Yes, this is a very good point.
So what do you think about that? Among the 3 bullets, the very 3rd bullet that you shared, does this sound like the most recent definition of AI, reflecting all of this new wave in the classrooms? What do you think?
Yeah, the 3rd definition was more focused on the use of AI to find new insights and methods in education. So in that sense, with the 3rd definition is not so much about AI being a tool in education, but more of a tool to like a tool for exploring teaching methods and information, right? So this was just to point out that we can also think of AI of the potential that AI has in this way, that can be useful for us as teachers, not necessarily to give AI tools to our students, but to use AI to generate content that we want to present or to do some research on with regard to teaching methods or content. I think that was the meaning in the article that I was quoting. But I agree that it's a very good question. I'm not sure if we can answer it, here today, but I think it's a very good question, what AI means today, especially with regard to educational practice, and also what are the aspects that we think are the most important or the most urgent to be discussed. So thank you for asking this. Would anyone like to share their thoughts?
Sure. Sang-Mi, thank you for that. That was really quite thought-provoking. We're a group here of I guess now 18 participants, all of whom have intelligence of varying sorts, with a variety of strengths and differences and preferences and expertises. And I think of AI as just another one of those entities as a member of the group. AI is not something that I think you should say, hey, go find me a piece that's going to sound blah, 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 blah. But I'm a student and I'm using AI as a partner in my learning, just as I would use anybody else that was in the room as a tutor, as whatever. And I think that's one of the areas that really has not been explored. I think people go, oh my God, it's not human, it's not this, it's not that. Well, you know, we could find something positive and negative to say about every single person that we interact with. AI is just another one. It's not human, but it's got some other capabilities that some of the humans don't have. And it can evoke questions, it can evoke thought, it can criticize, it can organize, it can do all sorts of kinds of things that with maybe a little more, I don't know if competence is right the word, but expertise that we ordinarily would not have. It's just another entity in the room when we're trying to talk about these things. And that's kind of where I see the power. I don't think it's going to replace anything. The synthesizer didn't, the phonograph didn't, the electric typewriter didn't, the computer didn't. It's going to be another tool that we use. I can write on my tablet. I have like Marcy did, or I can speak and have AI kind of organize what I'm doing. I used it to alphabetize 100 references in an article I wrote. It was great, and it saved me a lot of time. And I think that, but it didn't write the article for me. I wrote the article and found the researches, the sources. But I think that's kind of what I think that's maybe a fourth definition. It's another entity in the room that we can consider and use however we feel is appropriate. If AI wants to contribute, just like anybody else in this room wants to contribute, they unmute themselves and do it, and we can have AI kind of do the same thing.
I'd like to chime in. So thank you very much, Frank, for sharing your definition. And one thing that the fourth definition, that entity is missing, might be, based on my experience of working with AI search engine like ChatGPT, it doesn't discern. So what this animal can do is accumulate all the knowledge that people are typing in and what they learned and accumulate. However, at the same time, this machine doesn't discern whether that information is valid or not. I'm not quite sure how it's going to be just advancing in the coming years, but so far, as of now, our job is to discern whether this machine creates is usable, feasible, valuable, and also valid.
And you always have the choice of whether to use it or not. You know, AI powers cars that drive on themselves. I don't attempt to get into one of them. You know, I'm not really sure I'd be comfortable doing that. And it's the same with AI. You know, 10 years ago, nobody knew what gluten-free was, and now it's on everybody's menu. And I think AI is going to be the same way. As we move forward, it's going to be just something that gets considered, just like Grammarly, just like spell checker, just like search and paste. All those kinds of things are now kind of commonplace. And I think AI is probably going to become commonplace as well.
I'm curious, Sangmi, you mentioned that these AI programs can generate lesson plans and help future music educators in that way. And I was wondering if they can also consider student exceptionalities or student abilities when creating these plans.
I think that's a very good question, and we need to understand how AI generates information. First, AI learns lots of information people are uploading in the internet spaces, and they keep updating. It keeps updating on what's going to provide when being asked by people. So far, as of now today, they are not strong to provide contextual or culturally responsive lesson planning. Or if you have specific types of students from diverse cultures or special learning needs, it is not super good to provide those type of lesson planning accommodating to those needs. However, this machine is going to see and learn lots of lesson plans. It learns just every day, day by day, and based on the accumulated knowledge, one day, probably it's going to create something nearly similar. I don't know when. However, it might be happening. So that's my answer. So it's not that difficult. Go to ChatGPT and just type like, hey, create lesson plan for 4th grade using bucket drum. Then it makes something within 5 minutes. However, if you verify each step, still you'll see lots of holes and the sequence is not super satisfactory. However, that doesn't mean it's going to be like in 10 years. Because it's going to be advancing itself and accumulate knowledge, like again, day by day.
That's after I asked that question, I figured that was going to be your answer, or going to be what you might say. And I kind of go back to what Frank said about not being afraid of AI and using it with our students and discovering how it grows and changes. And even though it can do things and it will give you a lesson plan, that it still doesn't understand the entire picture that you do as the music educator in the room.
However, if your lesson plan focuses on individual students' needs, then still I believe AI might not produce really satisfactory lesson plan or accommodation plans, because that is human entity. Still, I want to believe that is human entity to meet individual needs.
I agree with you.
I apologize if this question, I'm sorry I was a bit late today, if this question has been asked, but I'm going to ask a question in relation perhaps to graduate music education instruction. As a graduate teacher, I was often interested in how well the students themselves are synthesizing information. And, Benjamin Bloom had that way back in the 50s, and now we have the new Bloom and all that. And still, synthesis is an important tool, I think. And I would like to know whether the student himself or herself, as a graduate student, is making these connections, and what new knowledge has come about from these connections. And will I know whether this is the result of putting some keywords into the computer, and this is really the computer synthesis, or the student synthesis? How do I know this? That's my question. Thanks.
Thank you for the question, Glenn. And I'm wondering if anyone might have an answer at all.
Well, I'll weigh in. I'm not sure, Glenn.
Okay, Frank.
There is an answer. I mean, how do you know the student's not cheating? And I think one thing that you probably will have to do is have a conversation with the student and see. I mean, if the student got the information somewhere else, they're not going to be necessarily as good at conversing with you. And I think by asking some challenging questions, you'll be able to tell whether their knowledge is surface GPT or Google or whatever, or whether they really did the synthesis themselves. But I think that nothing takes the place of the human face-to-face conversation. And I think that's probably the way you would probably assess that. I don't know. I just got done writing a policy for a graduate research class I'm going to teach in the spring as to what's appropriate to use GPT for and what isn't. And I think the synthesis, the discussion in your dissertation, those kinds of things have to be human, and you really need to converse face to face with the student to see how deep their knowledge and synthesis really is. But like I said, I don't know.
Thank you. That's helpful, Frank.
And let me share one experience that I had with one of my students. The students used ChatGPT to create the rehearsal reflection in her English course, and the TA detected that was composed by ChatGPT. How? ChatGPT created false recital hall name and false musician's name who performed. However, the student who used ChatGPT had no idea whether that room name is funny. The TA of the course saw that, oh, it sounds a little bit weird, and started like searching whether that particular performance actually happened, and it didn't. And the performer's name was also not the real performer's name. So ChatGPT made up the place name and the performer's name, group's name. I'm not quite sure. It's going to be, again, like keep updating its knowledge, and more. They're going to have more database about the like performance places and performers' names. As of now, it's not super smart for certain entities.
Yes, thank you for sharing this example. And it's such an interesting topic, because I think it happens so quickly that suddenly we have to deal with this problem as teachers, whether something is actually, whether a piece of text was written by a human, by a student, or was it generated by ChatGPT. But and of course, I don't think that's I know anyone who has a very clear solution. But when we started dealing with that last year in our at the University of Iceland, in the courses that I teach or co-teach, which are usually related to music and arts, one of the things that we found that is helpful is that we design the written assignments to be more creative, let's say, and less of a summary assignment. And then if it's part of the whole process, where we also do have conversations with the students and we see their interest and we see, where they're kind of going with their thinking, it's quite, or at least it's easier to see whether this text has this personal aspect based on what we know about the person, or if it's just a very kind of dry synthesis that could be done by anyone, really. So we try to change our approach to assignments, and maybe in a good way. Maybe we're just creating better assignments because we don't ask the students to do something that is what actually can be done by ChatGPT, which is summarizing an article, for instance, to see if they read it. But we ask them to present something that's more creative, and then we can make the connections between what we know about the students and what we know about their way through the course and the outcome on this particular assignment. And we found this helpful to some degree, at least. Any other thoughts? It's a fascinating topic, and I think the definition proposed by Frank is, to me, it is very much also eye-opening of how we can think of AI, because it is not a tool as Wikipedia, for instance, is one, where you basically just look into and you find some facts and you see who is you can assess how credible it is. But ChatGPT is a very different entity.
Can I add something? Listening to what you said about changing assignments and making them more creative, one of the positive things, it seems to me, about AI is that it's causing teachers to become better teachers, because it's causing you to reflect on your own practice and do a better job with the assignments and the better job with your teaching, because of of AI. And I think that if that's happening, that's not a bad thing.
That was actually one of the comments that was made in our group as well. I know that Ran isn't here with us anymore, but a question was asked, well, how do we prevent students from using AI and just using that to turn in assignments? And Ran said, ask better questions. So, and I think that's very valid.
I was wondering, because I think we are slowly, maybe not running out of time, but reaching the time that we had scheduled for this meeting. If we dare to present a summary of all the threats that we had, and maybe find some main thoughts that we have with regard to what AI is for us in our educational practice. We don't have to do it, of course, but I find it tempting, but also very challenging.
We need to become better teacher. We need to be more intelligent than the machine.
That's a great point, Lily.
Yeah, we can't have AI beat us. But I also I find this I found it interesting to hear about. I think it was Sang-mi mentioning this, that the students, or maybe it was it was in one of the groups, that the students still often prefer to be more involved in composing and play acoustic instruments, because they feel kind of more connected. They feel that the outcome is more theirs. And I think this is also my experience with regard to using acoustic instruments and iPads, for instance, that of course iPads are very attractive to a point, but they also become boring. And I actually don't think that it's very challenging for me to use classroom instruments as something that is more attractive than iPads. I think it's different, and I like using both, but I think that kids love making music and interact, and and also there's something about being a group that is just it's a very powerful experience. And I think we don't do it because we have to, we do it because we want to, right? So if we don't have to make music because we have AI, we still want to make music. And I find this very uplifting, and it's great to hear it also in the discussions. Okay, are there any other thoughts, or shall we maybe call it a day and just keep thinking of AI in our practice?